You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host, Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk, AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts, Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
And you're listening to The Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Friday, July 31st virtual show. Because of COVID, our show is temporarily virtually. You can listen to us on podcast or on air on Saturday at 3 p.m. with a rebroadcast on Sunday at 8 a.m. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
We are here to help you build a strong financial blueprint, 1 week and one show at a time. If you're hearing our show at a different time of day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. We can connect you with the guests that we have on the show. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, we have Judi, Tsuchida. I really tried to get that right, Judi. It's kind of close, little tongue twister for me there. Yeah. Judi is with Fena Flowers, and how the industry of flowers has changed right here in 1150 AM KKNW. Judi, thank you so much for visiting us. Really happy to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And a little bit about Judi. So Judi, she grew up in Weister, Idaho, opened Fena Flowers in 1988, almost a decade before she had initially intended. The mother of 2-year-old and a 4-year-old wanted to open up her own flower shop once her kids were preteens, but when the opportunity arose for her to start her own business, she decided to jump right on in. Over the last 33 years, Fena Flowers has been a Kirkland favorite for arrangements and service. For Judi, working in a flower shop has been a 55-year passion. She grew up working in her aunt's flower shop and still screams with excitement when boxes of flowers are delivered.
How cool is that, Judi? I need to have you at my house. I bought a house, and I have an amazing yard. I'm very fortunate. It's like the whole reason I bought the house. We have these huge flowers. I don't know what they are at all. So we're going to have to do like a money hour event at my house, and then I'd love to have you where you can explain to me how I maintain my flowers. I have a landscaping company that helps, but I would love to get your insight on that at some point. You've been in the business for obviously a very long time. I'd be curious to get your feedback on how has the flower business changed over the past 55 years?
Okay, so if you can believe it or not, back in the day, you could only buy flowers in a flower shop. So when you look at that now, flowers are everywhere. Costco, 7-Elevens, grocery stores, on the side of the road, at the gas stations. So really, back in the day, people who wanted an arrangement would have to actually call a flower shop direct. So the changes have been very different. When we first heard the news that they were going to start selling flowers in the grocery stores, that was a big deal for us because all of a sudden the prices in the grocery stores are a lot less than what you can get in a flower shop, and mostly because they're not really making their money on the flowers. It's like a little come on for the clients. They're making their money on the food. So it got harder and harder for flower shops to make it. So really, once that happened, all of a sudden flower shops started dropping off. So that's probably been the biggest difference for us. I knew a long time ago if I was going to make it, I was going to have to figure out how to cut my margins. So we started buying directly from the growers. And at that time, believe it or not, a retail florist could not buy from a grower. In fact, we got turned down a lot because we had a retail license. So then I ended up getting a wholesale license. And to grow my business big enough to be able to buy in box lots. Because when you buy from the growers, you have to buy boxes of flowers, not just 1 or 2 bunches. It was boxes. So I pushed myself to market, to grow my business big enough that we could be able to do that. So
I love that. And it shows when you're passionate about something, any challenge that comes, you're going to overcome it, and it becomes an opportunity. Because I don't know about everybody else here that's listening to the show, but I want to buy my flowers for my guests and for gifts from a flower shop, not from the grocery store. So there's an opportunity to really be able to thrive in that environment. So let's talk about, Judi, where do you get your flowers from? Where are they grown?
So when we first started out, there were a lot of growers in the California market, and believe it or not, a lot of those growers are gone. Most of those growers in California those greenhouses were on the beach. And so, with property value, and a lot of the growers couldn't make it. So they sold their property for development. So now a lot of the flowers come out of country from South America. South America, the reason why roses are so good, and it's Ecuador where the roses are nice, is because they are the closest to the equator. The weather is pretty much the same year round. And so you get consistency on those roses. The rose heads are bigger, they're stronger. Color-wise, they're just a lot nicer. Even going to Colombia, the roses from Colombia are not as nice. So we also get flowers out of Holland, the Holland market. I was very fortunate to be able to go to the Holland market and see how they move flowers over in Amsterdam. And that was the trip of a lifetime to see how efficient they run it, the quality of the flowers, how everybody on that floor is moving and working. There is nobody standing around. We also get flowers from Canada. We get flowers locally here. The local market here, there's a lot of growers up north in the Skagit Valley. But again, the growing season is very short here. So when you hear a lot of people talk about sustainability and make sure your flowers are always come locally, I mean, it's nice if you lived in California or you lived someplace else, but it's really not realistically. So we kind of actually follow our flowers around the world. Right now, we're buying a lot of flowers locally, but once the local market is gone, then we have to start sourcing elsewhere. So,
wow, Judi, you are a flower connoisseur. I'm learning all kinds of stuff here. This is fantastic. Where the best flowers are and all. It's like a wine. You got to know all the regions and everything. That's so cool. I'd be curious on getting your feedback on, this COVID has obviously affected a lot of business. How has COVID affected the flower business?
So I don't know if you saw on Facebook or on the news, when COVID hit, a lot of those growers, they were dumping millions of dollars worth of product. And then what ended up happening, they didn't know how long this was going to last, so they didn't plant. So flowers, it's about a 6 to 8 week growing cycle. So right now we're in a shortage of flowers. So we can only get certain things. A lot of growers ended up going under because they just couldn't make it. They couldn't get workers back in the field to pick. I grew up on a farm, so produce does not stand still. You have to pick when they are ripe. And if you don't, then it has to get dumped. So when they could not bring workers in, all that product got trashed. Prices have gone up tremendously. And to try to even get flowers in from overseas, the shipping, there weren't a lot of airlines they were cutting back, and that's how we bring our product in, is by air. So you had to book your space on that airlines. Sometimes it got stopped and you would have to go on another flight. Yeah. So it's been very challenging.
Wow. So many industries have been hit so hard with COVID, and I'm sorry that your industry has been one of them, but it's nice that you're surviving. And it's sad to hear about the farmers. That's devastating. Judi, let's talk about what you need to be. What type of education or training do you need, or certification to be a floral designer?
So really, I would rather train my own people because we have a certain look that we do here. And it's just nicer to be able to treat or teach somebody your way than having to retrain them to do your way. Most people I can tell, I can give them a picture to look at. If they have an eye to do it, they can be a designer. All they have to do is keep practicing and getting the confidence. And actually, that's how I learned. I learned from looking at a book when I was about 10 years old to design. And so if you can see it, that's going to be the way that you can do it. So you just have to be able to work hard. There's no prima donnas here. Everybody cleans the buckets, sweeps the floors, takes out garbage. That's what you have to do.
I love it, Judi. What is the difference? I want to get your feedback on this. What's the difference between a local flower shop and like a 1 in a million online store that you can get some flowers from?
Okay, so people don't understand. On the 800 calls, you are calling a call center that's located who knows where. They are not florists. They're just taking orders. That person then, the call center then has to actually route your order to a real brick and mortar shop to wherever that city that it's going to. We're the ones that are filling the orders. So when you see the discounted prices, offering free delivery, honestly, if we can't do it, we don't accept those orders. So then what happens? You don't get your order filled. Flower shops, I think FTD has been around for 109 years, and that was the florist to florist network. And it's still better to go to a local florist to have something delivered in another city because we know our product. We can tell you, no, you cannot get peonies in whatever month it is, or roses at Valentine's Day, they are going to be higher because we know our product and we know what we can sell. When you go to the 800s, those people really don't know their products. So that is
and that makes sense. And, we are learning a lot here because I think, maybe I've had Victoria, we maybe used it one time and it was terrible. So that makes total sense. It's kind of like a lead generation for mortgages, but it's a flower generation for florists. So, Judi, we have less than a minute to wrap up, but I really want to ask you one final question. After working in the flower industry for 55 years with all of the changes, things that are going on in COVID right now, seeing some of your other shops around you closing down, what keeps you in the industry and keeps your passion about what you do?
I will have to say a lot of it is customers. When we first came back, we had people calling and saying they wanted to order flowers from us because they did not want us to go out of business. I've had customers ever since I've been in business. They're more like friends than customers. We know them personally. We've been to their homes. We know their kids. We're starting to do their kids' weddings. And really my coworkers. I have got the best team there ever was. They've been supporting me through all my years here in the ups and downs. And I, believe it or not, flowers really make people happy. So
true. Judi, it definitely makes me happy whenever someone takes the time and sends me a bouquet of flowers. So thank you so much for being here. We're happy to have you on the show and to showcase the beautiful things that you're doing through flowers.
Thank you.
Coming up next in the Money Hour, we have Mindy and Trevino with Dynamic Dime Jewelry. And we're going to be talking with Mindy today about how jewelry can help in your business right here on 1150 AM KKNW.